Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to Persevere with Power Moments with Angela Taylor Fisher. Listen, if this is your first time viewing the show, we welcome you. We know that life can change in a moment, right? Sometimes it's not so good, and sometimes it's great. But what God has given us in those not so good moments, He's given us the power to persevere through this tough moments, right? To get us through this thing called life. So, Persevere with Power Moments is just a platform to encourage people to push through this thing called life. You guys know how we do, right? For you that are new, what my current viewers do, we invite, we tag, and we share. Listen, guys, we have a great show on tonight. It is a much needed topic. It is needed everywhere. Everybody wants to know about these teens. So we're going to talk to the teens on tonight, right? Praise God. So, you guys, before we get into it and bring my guest on, please invite, tag, share. If you see someone's not on here, send them a quick text and tell them, hey, Pastor Angela is live and she's got the goods. Amen. We've got these two young kings that are going to come on and they're going to share with us their perspective from a teen's point of view and from a teen's eyesight. See, we're going to get into what a lot of parents, wanting to know because we care about our children, right? So here's the thing. Let's talk to the teens on tonight, right? Because we know social issues and problems can affect teens just like adults. Today's teens are facing new and different social issues than their parents had to face and even their grandparents had to face, right? So I'm going to bring my guests on and I'm going to let them introduce themselves. I'm just going to tell you, my guests, these young men are awesome. They have their own radio talk show discussing some of these issues that we're going to discuss tonight. So I want to introduce you. I'm going to tell you who they are and then I'm going to let them introduce themselves, right? So they're Alex Taylor and AJ Taylor of Teens Talk Truth Radio Show, right? So we're going to discuss social issues and problems that today's teens have to face. So I'm going to bring them on. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Persevere with Power Moments with Pastor Angela Taylor Fisher. Listen, my guests are excited. They're saying good evening. They're commenting already. They're so excited that you guys could join us. So before we get into our subject on tonight, I want you guys to introduce yourself to our audience and tell us who you are and what you do.
Well, thank you for having us here. I'm AJ. I'm 16, and I'm a junior in high school. I go to eStem. Yeah, eStem High School. There you go. Sorry, I forgot about we've
That's
been
okay.
we've been on break for a week, and
I
sometimes
know
you
you're a
forget where
little
you
brain
going after
fog.
a
That's
while.
okay. I tried to catch y'all before you go back to school. So, AJ, you're a junior at eStem High School
Yes, ma'am.
in Little Rock, Arkansas. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
And what are
ma'am.
some things that you like to do?
Well, I enjoy gaming. I enjoy putting together puzzles. What
Awesome.
many consider children's puzzles. I consider them complicated 3D masterpieces for
Basically
ages
Legos.
8 and older.
Basically,
Okay. So you like the puzzles ages 8 and over, but you feel as if they're a little complicated. They're more adult like, right?
Yes,
Is that what you're
yes,
saying?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. They can be. They can be.
Okay, they can be. All right. And Alex, tell us who you are, sweetie.
um, um, I'm a 14-year-old. I'm a junior. I go to junior high school, eStem, and I'm a SoundCloud rapper.
Stop it. You are not.
You're a SoundCloud rapper.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Stop
I'm
it.
kidding.
He wants to be.
No,
He's
I
got
don't. No,
several
I
in the
don't.
making.
No, I
He
don't.
wants to be.
Anyway, um, I like gaming and I like watching television.
Oh
You
my
like watching
gosh.
television. I do too. You know, Probably a little bit more than I should.
Uh,
Probably a little bit more than I should. So, my audience, you viewers, guys, if you hear some laughter in the background, that's their mom. And we're going to be talking to her on next week. And I just love the relationship they have. These are some really cool kids. And so, we're just excited to have them on and to just talk a little bit about teens, right? So, what I was saying is, before I brought you guys on, I was telling my audience like the social issues are for the teens today are just a little different than they were when I was your age, or your mom was your age, or even your grandparents. Things are just a little different. Seems a little tougher for teens now. Now I see a lot of teens maneuvering and they're making it. They're successful. They're excelling like you guys. But then there's still a lot of social issues and problems that um, that are affecting the teens, that can affect the society, how it functions. And we know as adults that teens can face social problems just like adults can. And you guys are maybe more susceptible to the challenges because your brains are still developing, your bodies are changing quickly. And sometimes adults have a tendency to write off your issues as teenage problems. But we're going to deal with that today because there's so much mental health and emotional health that is, kind of getting out of control and things are happening. Would you guys agree with that, or is that just me?
it's most definitely, most definitely.
Correct, most definitely. It's a lot going on. Technology plays a big part in a lot
Mhm.
of, the social issues and problems because everything is so digital nowadays. Everybody communicates
Mhm.
digitally,
Mhm.
and it changes the way that teens interact with their peers and the texting habits, and it changes the way um, the teens communicate. Back in my
Mhm.
day, we didn't have all that technology. So if you wanted to talk to somebody, you had to walk out your house, go next door,
Mhm.
knock on the door, and they had to come outside, right?
Mhm.
So it's different now. You guys can be in a room and you can text your neighbor, your friend, and they'll come right over. So we know that the electronics has a big part of the social function of the society.
Mhm.
So I wanted to ask you guys, because sometimes we've heard stories, we've seen it on the news where the use of social media can really not be that good, and you know what I'm talking
Mhm.
about, the bullying, the cyberbullying,
Mhm.
and things like that. So I want you guys to tell me, and for I got parents on here, so they're really
Mhm.
glued to the set because they want to hear from a teen's perspective. What are some social problems you see teens struggling with today? And we'll start with you, AJ.
Okay, well, mainly just mental health issues and just being able to talk to somebody,
Mhm.
like speaking out about, you know, their gender and religion, all different types of things like that. But it mainly stems from, not being able to talk to somebody or having anybody to, turn to when it matters most.
Wow. So you're saying, like, with the mental health problems that you see in kids today, you feel as if that they're stemming from not having people that listen, or because
Mhm.
oftentimes we can tell people they hear us, but they're not actually listening
Yeah.
to what we're saying, and so that has to do, your question. I mean, your feedback from the question is that the mental health is coming from not having anyone to talk to. Do you think it's
Mhm.
also not having anyone to like stand up for them or
Mhm.
protect them or cover them? When you
Yes,
mention gender.
yes, ma'am. That's a big part about it too. Everybody, well, I'm not a part of that group, but
Hmm.
I have friends who are, and they usually talk about how they, not really understood, and that like they feel like they can't talk to their own parents even because of how they feel and what they're going through, and it's just a big
Yeah, yeah, I get it. It's kind of a touchy
one.
situation because I feel like this generation, this younger generation, I don't know if they call you guys millennials. I get them all mixed up, the Gen X, the Gen everything and all of that. I understand. But it's um more I guess liberal or free in the way that people think about sexuality or gender, and some of the older people can't, I guess, just grasp it or wrap their brain around it,
Mm,
and so they tend to bash it or tell the child that's not really you, or
mm,
I mean, like, and I could see that bringing about some type of like anxiety and depression. Are you seeing
mm.
that in your friends that are dealing with that? Do you see anxiety? Do you see depression?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Not as much depression as anxiety, but it's definitely both.
Definitely both. Definitely
Yes, ma'am.
both. Correct. Okay, so Alex, give us your feedback on that, and then give us some other like social problems that you see teens struggling with today.
Um, well, a big part of it is being like an introvert, like
Mm-hmm.
choosing to stay away from people,
Mm-hmm.
which isn't bad because I'm an introvert myself.
Mm-hmm.
But like when you like don't talk to other people, they talk about you
Mm-hmm.
because you don't talk a lot. And I
Now, are you?
see,
Go ahead.
no, it's okay. So,
Are you an introvert because you're shy, or is it why do you feel like that?
um, um, I just, I don't know. I just prefer to be by myself. You know,
Yeah,
like read instead of like talking to people. Cause like they,
He's his father's. That's his father's DNA.
that's
Yeah,
his
we
father's
He
we
is
side.
we
exactly like my husband. He doesn't like crowds. He likes to be by himself.
Right. And it's funny that you mentioned that because I'm kind of a mixture of both. I'm an introvert, but then I'm an extrovert as well. So I got the introvert part because I used to kind of be like that for a long, long time. And but I'm just, as I mature and got older, I can balance the two. I like being out and being around people, but then I'm selective also. So I think that plays a big part. And how I became an extrovert was I was selective about who I hung around with, and who I keep into my circle. So I totally got that. Now, Alex, do you agree with what AJ was talking about as far as the mental health in a lot of the teens today?
yes, ma'am. Because I actually know somebody who is mental, and people really don't like him like at all. Like
They don't like him.
no, they do not because not only is he mental, he also, and I don't want to say nothing bad about him, but he kind of acts like he's like in kindergarten because he be acting out like in class, getting a whole bunch
Hmm.
of detentions and trouble stuff, and not that this is wrong, but he actually likes a lot of childish stuff like
Mm.
Thomas the Train, Spider Man, stuff like that.
Whoa, wait.
Uh,
Oh, Spider Man.
No, I don't know about Spider Man. You know,
and he's in the 11th grade.
it's in the
Does
ninth grade.
any in the ninth grade? I'm sorry. Is anybody trying to help him, or the teachers noticing this? Is he getting any kind of help? Because a lot of people with mental health issues, like you said, people don't like them, and people don't like them because they don't understand, and they're not. Some people are not willing to stop to take the time to really figure out what's going on. Is anybody trying to help him in any kind of way?
Well, they notice, but nobody tries to help him. Matter of
Mm,
fact, some of the teachers are part of the problem. It's like
mm,
back when we were like virtual in school, he had like the caps lock on or something, and he was typing in all caps. And one of the teachers got mad for no reason and
mm.
kicked him out of the Zoom for no reason.
Okay, out of the Zoom when you guys were doing school at home.
Yes, ma'am.
And so do you feel like the teachers are not really helping? They're kind of adding to it. And I'm asking this question because I've heard teens say this before. Um, I know when my kids were in school, and I would hear them say, it's the teacher. And I would be like, well, are you sure? Because it could, is it you? And I've heard this. So I think, like, how I'm trying to put my thoughts into words. Um, that is something that we have to be prayerful about, because as teachers, they're there to guide, to lead, to train, to grow, and to teach. And if they're a part of the issue or part of the problem, that makes it, worse. So, do you stay away from him too? Because I heard you say the kids stay away from him.
Well, they don't stay away from him. They actually roast him a lot.
Mm,
I stay away from him. One, I'm an introvert. Two, I'm not trying to get involved in that.
hmm
I hope somebody helps him. I pray for him.
Yeah.
But he's not getting the help where he is now.
Mm. And that's the sad part. So prayer is very, very good. Um, if you feel like that's something that you don't want to get involved in, which you should not be. It should be up to the adults to notice these issues and to address them and to get the help. But definitely prayer really, really works. Just talking to God about the situation and being kind on your end. And the reason why I'm bringing up that being kind, because I know that bullying is a nut. Because you said they're picking on him, but that's a form of bullying. They roast him. That's what you said. That's bullying. And about 22% of teens in the U.S. experience getting bullied. You know, and that was back in 2019. So it could be even worse now. And so that's a form of bullying, which may be making him even more, wilder or crazier. So, as kids of God, we have to make sure on our end that we are, being upright and standing right and being kind to people. Being kind to people. Do you guys see any bullying in your school?
Well, not I don't see it as much in my school, mainly because, well, not to hop on the introvert train, but I'm kind of in that introverted group too.
Uh huh.
So I kind of tend to stay, kind of towards my own little group of people, and not really in. You know what I'm trying to say. I'm not.
Yeah.
Alex is looking at you.
You ain't no introvert. Be for real.
Look.
Alex said he's not an introvert.
I am when it comes. It's like at certain times, at certain points, in like certain classes when I don't have as many friends around. Like,
Mm,
let's say my first period. Well, no, not my first period. Let's say like my third period as opposed to my seventh period. I
mm,
don't know as many of the people in my third period. So I tend to stay, by myself. But in my seventh period, I've known everybody in there from previous years. So obviously I'm more talkative because, I've been around them. I'm okay. But it's just it's sometimes it's kind of hard to tell
hmm
who's being a bully because the way it is now with roasting and everything,
Yeah.
kids don't really kind of consider it, bullying as much. And it's more of like, oh, we're just, exchanging words. It kind of got a little, heated, but like, you get there too and you be all right, as opposed to, oh, he's bullying you. He needs to stop,
Yeah.
and not being able to kind of recognize that line between, friendly roasting and bullying is kind of, I don't want to say where we struggle, but
hmm
where we struggle. So
Yeah. I totally got that. Because when you said there's like a fine line between roasting and bullying, because roasting is like you just kind of cutting up and you
mhm.
picking, you kind of saying things to each other. When you say roasting, it makes me think of what's the show with Nick Cannon where they're like battling the groups, two different groups, but they're kind of rapping and cutting each other down.
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. Well, my kids used to watch. I think it was called Wild and Out or something like that on MTV. But what they do is they got these two different groups, and one's red, one's blue, and then they kind of battle rap against each other, and they're roasting, and everybody's laughing, and everybody's taking it for what it is, and just sometimes it gets a little tough, gets a little heated, and they have to back down. So that's what I think about when I hear roasting, people joking and joshing each other. But bullying is something different. If the person who's being roasted, let's just say every day, there's one specific guy that everybody starts roasting on and start making fun of him and start teasing him, but this is every day, then now that's a form of bullying, especially if he's not happy, he's not laughing, if he's saying, leave me alone, if he's saying, stop doing that, then that turns into, bullying. And then that's where that depression can kick in, that anxiety can kick in, that child begins to feel, picked on, and it can just spiral into something even, worse than that. So roasting, I got bullying. We're gonna have to pray about that as well.
Definitely.
So yes. So okay. So we talked about the mental health. We talked about the bullying or the roasting. Can y'all think of any other social issues you see teens struggling with today that you could share with the parents? What about academics? You see kids struggling with their school?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Several names come to mind.
Several names come to mind.
I don't think we'll be saying those names. But
yeah.
No, don't say the names. Now, you can tell us what they're struggling with. Is it just grades, or is it just not doing their homework, or what could it be?
Well, for some people who shall not be named, it is it's kind of both. Like I know somebody specifically who at one point struggled with Chinese, whose name will not be said. But yeah. They
Was that a
struggled.
language that you were learning, or what do you mean when you say struggle with it?
Like he was learning the language and he was quite fluid at it too. But his grade was still suffering, and I didn't understand.
So what he's referring to here, the person who shall not be named was me. At one point is because I had something to do that morning, so they didn't put in my grade, so it was looking quite horrible for those 2 days. But what he's referring to is that even though somebody might seem like they're doing well in a class or well in school in general, they might not have the grades to back it up because of what's going on at home, how they're feeling every day, number of different things. But
Yeah. So it's kind of like they have the skills to pass or to make good grades, but you feel like maybe some personal things going on in the home may affect that to where maybe like they can't concentrate, or you feel as if they're not applying themselves, or what's your take on that?
all right, well, even with they're not applying themselves part, that I feel like that's not how I say this. I want to say excuse, but that's well, I'll just use myself for example.
The word is excuse.
Right, but like hang on, let me process. With me, this quarter, well, no, so this semester, I didn't really do in good at school as as I should have, as well as say. I didn't get, well, I feel like the grades that I have could have been better, a little higher.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm trying really hard to make myself look good here, but it's not. Mm,
Well, just come on out and say it. You said you feel like your grade should have been higher or could have been
right.
higher.
Mm.
What was stopping you from that? Was it gaming? Was it just not interested, or what was holding you back from really making the grades that you could have made?
That's a good question.
Good question.
Alex is
Is
like, give us the tea, AJ.
as much as I would like to put it on gaming and all that, I really think the problem was just, me. I wasn't really
Hmm.
kind of in gear, like for me, generally, school has been easy. Uh, the previous grades I've just flown through, and for some strange reason, this year, well, this semester, it's
Hmm.
just felt different, not harder per se, but it's just felt a little different mentally. I have still trying to
Felt a
get
little
myself.
different. Was it tougher for you? Were the classes harder? Because you're a junior, so um,
Right.
from my memory, because it's been a
Mhm.
minute since I've been in school. It's been a while, but over 30 years. So I do remember as the grades progressed from ninth
Mhm.
grade, 10th grade, 11th, and then depending on the class, there was a lot of pressure there, and it
Mhm.
got a little complicated. And I know that a lot of times when things get complicated, we'll kind of lose focus,
Mhm.
because it's either we don't know how to do it, or we'll get lazy with it, or whatever,
Mhm.
because it's maybe more on us than we're able to actually handle.
Mhm.
So, were you the only one feeling like that, or did you have other classmates that were kind of feeling the pressure too?
Well, at one point during the first quarter, it was the entire class that was feeling it. But I think that's mainly because well, we're at that point where like we're starting to get teachers that are more used to teaching college and
Mm.
not necessarily high schoolers. And the way that we've been taught previously
Mm-hmm.
was different from the way they're teaching now. Like for me, I've usually been a straightforward hands-on learner, right? You tell me
Mm-hmm.
what I need to do, what I need to apply in order to figure it out and to solve the problem, and I'll I'll do it. You give me some problems, I'm gonna use the way you taught me, and that's how I'll get it done. But with this class, my first period, AP statistics,
Mm-hmm.
it's not this, it's not really the same as the lower math classes and all that, and the teacher had a different way of teaching us, and I think that because we weren't really used to it,
Mm-hmm.
or we weren't really able to adapt as quickly, that
Mm-hmm.
we all struggled with it in the beginning. But now that we've kind of you know learned how to deal with the teacher style, we kind of gotten better in the class.
To help
Got
him out a
better in the
little bit,
class.
let me explain for him.
Yeah.
What
Okay.
he's not telling you is he's in a program called concurrent credit.
Uh-huh.
So he is working towards his high school degree and he's
Mm-hmm.
also a college student. So he's
Mm-hmm.
taking college. His school is located on a college campus at UALR. And so
Okay.
he's taking college classes as well as high school classes, getting credit for both at the same time. So I basically had to explain to him, this is what it's like to be a college student. You get
Uh-huh.
teachers you can understand sometimes, and sometimes you are teaching yourself.
You're teaching yourself. And you know what, Ann? When he said AP statistics, I already knew. Statistics, I don't even know if
Right.
they had that in high school. So I
Right.
figured
Yes.
that they either go eStem is sort of like what is that, like a charter school or like a
Yes,
magnet
ma'am.
school. You have to tell me that. And when you say AP statistics, I was like, yeah, I already know what he's doing. So we didn't have that in my school, in high school, in public
Right.
school. So So speaking of that, because there are some viewers who have kids that are children or grandchildren that go to the, like charter type schools or magnet schools that where the work is a little harder and tougher than you would find in public school, and the teachers are a little tougher on them because, like you said, they are professors or come from this different type of teaching background. What advice could you give our viewers on helping that child to like how you got there? You said it started off a little rough, but then once y'all got acclimated, what other what else did you do different? And then we're gonna let Alex talk a little bit too. So what did you do different that made you say, let me get into this and get back to where I was?
Well, for me, it's basically just the difficulty level because literally everything up to, well, I'll probably say 10th grade. Everything up till 10th grade has been for me a breeze. But I guess it was that switch from normal teaching to your teachers used to teaching college and you have to kind of teach yourself is where I kind of got lost for me. I had to I don't want to say put in more effort, but I had to.
You did. You had to put in more effort. You had to put in more effort.
Yeah, I had to get it in my mind that I had to, try a lot harder than I had been in previous years. And it was kind of like that for 9th grade too. But for 9th grade, that was virtual, so I was at home. So they got all my grade reports. So they were like, "Oh, you have a D. You need to fix that." So it was more of a, "Oh, okay, I don't want to get a whooping." So it was like an instant change from let me kind of gradually work up to it to let me fix this now before I get hurt.
So did you really quick before we jump to Alex? Did you express your concerns with your parents? Because we're talking about like this is part of social issues, academic pressure. Some kids don't tell their parents or they don't know how. Did you discuss that with them?
After being interrogated for several hours, I did eventually break down and kind of admit that I needed a little bit of help in the language and the history classes and all the math. But it's kind of like for me, I've always done good in school and I've never really needed much help. So making the switch from doing it all myself and having to ask was kind of, difficult for me. And I don't really, I see myself as the one not to really talk about my problems as much. So admitting to my parents that I was kind of having a hard time in school was, difficult. But
yeah, y'all hear that, parents? Y'all hear that, parents? So I like that you said that it was kind of difficult to tell them because you felt a certain type of way. I believe it almost sounds like you felt like you had been at a certain level with so many years and now you were doing something new that was kind of bringing you down and you didn't want your parents to be disappointed and you didn't want to be disappointed in yourself, but you found that courage after that interrogation and
it was not hours. It just felt like
it definitely was hours.
And so, but to say all that, to say to the parents or the grandparents who are raising teenage children, high school, junior high kids, ask some questions. I think, these kids are under so much pressure, peer pressure, academic pressure, to perform. And they're really great and excellent students, but, they're human as well. And so I think parents need to just, and we'll let Alex tell us about like, what is it that you wish that parents would notice or do? Alex, AJ's been saying a lot. Like, what do you feel that you think would help you if you're wrestling academically, you're having problems with your work? What do you think parents should do or say He got his head down. He's like,
It's
Miss
very
Angela,
interesting.
you asking me these questions. My parents are sitting right here in the room.
Um,
That's honestly, it's okay.
um,
I don't think you wanted that.
Because, and
I,
I'm saying this before you answer, I'm asking this question because as parents, first of all, I know you guys understand this, but if you don't, I want to share it with you. Parents' goals is always for our to get our kids to a better, higher level than we were. And it's we push you guys because we can see the greatness in you and we can see the potential and the gifting in you before you see it in yourselves. So sometimes parents can be a little in the kids' mind can be a little tough. So I want to share this story with you really, really quick, and I'm gonna let Alex come back. I'm gonna give you time to think about that question, Alex. So my son, and he's grown now, he's 28, but when he was in high school, he played football. Y'all know about football, right? He was a
Yeah.
defensive lineman at Red Oak High School here in Texas. And I saw the potential in him to be an excellent athlete when he was a little bitty boy. But my son didn't like schoolwork. So I had to push him and push him and push him all the time. So when he got to the 11th grade, he had already taken his ACTs and SATs his junior year, sophomore year, whatever. And um, a college saw him and wanted to recruit him to come play.
Hmm.
Now, here's what the thing was. He had to retake his ACT and score a certain number.
Mm-hmm.
And if I tell you, he fought me, and I put him in the tutoring classes to help him prepare and all of that, and he was just a huffing and puffing. And I kept saying to him, "Son, they want you. That means something. They're saying something good about you. They want you to come to the school." And so I literally, when he took his practice, whatever whatever they gave them in the class worksheets, and they graded him and said, "Go back and do this." I sat next to him in the bed because he didn't want to do it. And I literally, for 2 hours, made him answer this and correct that and do this and do that. And he thought I was being so mean.
Mm.
And he thought I was being so hard. But guess what happened? He passed, he made that grade, and he got that scholarship.
Praise the Lord.
And he went and played football at a college university for 2 or 3 years. Okay. So it seemed at the time I was being too hard on him, but I knew what God had in store for him.
Amen.
And I knew what his potential was, and I knew that he could do it. And I had to light that fire under him.
Amen.
He didn't like it, but he loved it when he got on that football field. All right.
Right.
So, praise
Right.
God.
Amen.
So sometimes parents may come across a little tough, but trust God, trust your parents. We know what's best, and we're only doing that because we see the best in you. Okay.
Mm.
All right. Okay, Alex, you got your answer. Do you even remember the question? what do you think teens would like from their parents? Let's just go there. We'll keep it general.
And keep in mind the story she just told you.
Alex is
well,
looking
yeah,
like,
but
you
that was
know
her
what?
son.
I'm
She didn't
just
get
in the
whooped.
ninth grade. Got years to go. What do you think you would like for your parents? Your parents or any parents you think teens would like for us to know about you guys?
She did okay.
See, there are a lot of kids that struggle with school, and like they actually like do better sometimes, but when like their parents like get onto them, sometimes that can create a lot of pressure,
Mm,
and and then that can make them do a whole lot worse because like last year in the 8th grade, I was doing good. Well, I was doing bad, and then they got onto me a little bit, and then I started doing better. But then one of my grades slipped, and
oh.
my mother she went ballistic. Um and I told her like, you're putting pressure on me, not in those words, but she she kind of slapped me. Um,
Uh-huh.
We
Oh, he
kind of
telling
did.
all the business.
Kind of did. Twice, I remember. Um,
No child was harmed.
I
be
believe
for
that
real.
because we're
Be
sitting
for
here
real.
looking at you. Okay,
Right.
so you're saying that teens kind of wish that parents would just sort of listen to them more, hear them more. Because I'm going to be honest, um, there were times my kids would say to me, "You're not listening. I'm telling you, but you're not listening." And I was like, "I am listening." But I really, in honesty, I was hearing what I wanted to hear because I was kind of upset with them at that time with the situation that was going on. So you guys feel like that parents should listen more. Is that right,
Alex,
Alex?
Alex is just staring at me right now. I think
That
he's agreeing.
sounds quite familiar to me.
So, parents, you guys hear these kids. For us that have teenage children or teenage grandchildren, because there are grandparents who are very involved with their grandkids that are teens and high school and even freshmen in college. They're brand new to college, and so I think this still applies to college age kids who are their freshman year because they're just coming right out of high school. Um, so we're listening because we know that the social issues, like I said earlier, of the teens are um, different than when we were growing up, when your parents or your grandparents. And not that there weren't any problems, there were still the same social issues that you guys go through existed back then. It was bullying. We just didn't have cyber bullying and we didn't have social media, but the peer pressure was there to fit in, or to choose a clique or choose a crowd to hang with. The bullying was there. The academic pressure to pass and keep a certain GPA and all of that still existed, guys. But it's tougher for you guys now and the teens because it's just different. I can't explain. And can you explain that? How is it different? Is it different than when we were in school?
I completely get it. I mean, we had
Mm-hmm.
different social struggles. I don't know about you, but I remember coming up in the 80s and the 90s, and that's the gang violence became very prevalent. Teenage pregnancy was very prevalent. Drug use, drug dealing, that all those things were really prevalent. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay. And so it, they have those things, but they've got a lot of other stuff that's bothering them too. I mean, a lot of kids are scared the world is going to end at any time because of climate change.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be the adults, being the ones taking a lot of mental health medications, but these kids need it because they are really afraid about, not just what's going on, in their personal lives, but what's going to happen in the future, and all of them. Then you've got them, having to prepare for school shootings. I mean, I can't imagine,
Yeah.
a mass shooting at a school and, walking through school, and getting patted down every day. I mean, that's the type of stuff that they're dealing with on a regular basis.
Right.
I mean, they had a scare at the high school recently where a couple of kids got into it, and there was a rumor that one of the kids said he was coming the next day to shoot up, and they just said, "I don't want to go to school tomorrow," and we're like, "You don't have to go." I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's sad that
Mm-hmm.
kids are that concerned about whether or not they'll be the next, Sandy Hook or
Correct.
Parkland, or Columbine,
Or Uvalde, here in
right,
Texas.
right,
Terrible.
right. So, and then you add to that a pandemic, which started, I think Alex was in 6th grade.
Mhm.
And I remember the day that the schools closed, Alex got in the car. Mom, guess what? We don't have to go to school tomorrow because of the coronavirus.
Yeah.
And then they introduced, the homeschooling, and his whole world just collapsed. He was like, I still gotta go to school from home.
Those Zoom classes, I heard so much about that.
Yeah, but the kids were scared too, because I also remember him, coming to me saying, did you ever have to deal with anything like this growing up? And there were, it's not to say that there weren't epidemics or pandemics. I remember when HIV/AIDS became an issue, but it wasn't the type of issue where society had to shut down.
Correct.
We knew that there, it was in blood, that type of thing. There was, if people took precautions about checking blood to see if it had HIV, and we knew it was sexually transmitted. There were simple ways to protect yourself that we learned about fairly quickly. But this thing, my kids have been in the house, can tell you they've been in the house for the last 3 years because I'm my mother's caregiver, and so it's had a very different impact on them. It really has.
When you were talking about like the bombings and all that thing, I think I remember people would call and they'd say it's a bomb threat, and we would just have to go out to the back of the school field and wait and come back in. It wasn't, they weren't actually doing anything. And the most drills we had was the tornado drill, or the fire drill. And but now they have, it's so much deeper and scarier for the teens. So I really, really appreciate all the feedback that Alex and AJ gave, and and thankful that they are aware of the things that are, taking place, and they're not really letting that affect them. But we want to pray as people of God to continue to pray for the kids who are, they don't have anybody to really talk to them or open up to. One of our viewers, she put a comment on here. I just want to read it real quick. She said, when my son was younger, he would talk more openly after he got home and had a snack. Then he would open up. She said, you got to know the child and when to listen, to pay attention to when they open up. And I think that's great advice, because if they open up, because I know as parents, sometimes we'll say, well, you need to talk to me. And then as they begin to talk to us, we'll start saying, well, no, that's not true. And, we're not hearing them. And it's like, I had to learn when they opened up to sit and listen and pay attention, because they can easily go to someone else and open up to them and hide the truth, from us. So Simply Jewel TV, thank you for that advice. In that comment. So and let me see if there's any more. She asked a question: does the ACT still exist?
Oh, it does.
I don't know.
It does. It does.
Okay.
I took it recently, and it's
still there.
It's still a trip.
Right.
Because I misunderstood her question, and I replied back to her, to Simply Jewel, and I said, well, yeah, in 2013, my son graduated, it existed, but she was asking, does it still exist since COVID?
Yes, ma'am.
So it still does. Okay, Simply Jewel, it still does. She said I had to. Okay, awesome. Thank you for joining. Goodbye. Okay, guys, I know we've been on here for a while, so I'm going to let you guys go. Then you got, this is the day of tomorrow, Sunday, Monday, you'll be back in school. That's what I'm trying to go. So I don't want to keep you any longer during your Christmas break. And thank you so much for chiming in and helping us get a little, giving us a little bit more in-depth detail of what the teens are having to go through.
Oh, not a problem. Thank you for having us.
No problem at all. I loved it. I got comments that said, the people said they love you guys. They said they're so funny. I look at the comments and they're like, oh, we just love them. They're so cute. And they're saying great stories. most teens will not speak freely when parents are present. That's true. Coach Marie's on here. Coach
Hey.
Marie's on here. So we're
Lady.
really praying that they'll, open up. I'm just, I wanted to bring them on so they could just kind of share with us things that we can learn, and so to learn our teens more.
Right. Right.
Y'all have any final thoughts or comments?
Well,
Some advice?
one thing I kind of picked up on, talking about openness, and it got me thinking. Well, I was thinking back, and I'm like, why was I such an open kid? And it kind of had to do with my parents, not actually giving me, a phone to close myself off with, and it kind of made me realize that I've, been more open because I've only recently, I can't speak now, recently, had, that introduction with technology and everything. I only recently got my phone when I turned 16. So that not having, a phone up until this point has made me, more open, more willing to talk, to actually go up to people and talk to them rather than, text while sitting right next to each other. Hey, what you doing? So, not having the phone and not, I want to say not being, what's the word I'm looking for?
Engaged so much in your phone or preoccupied.
Right.
That
Alex, you have any thoughts on that?
Not really. I just don't.
You just want your phone and you have another year.
Exactly.
He wants to be 16.
I was
so
going to wear them down eventually, but he ruined my chances.
Yes, I did. It's okay.
So AJ has a phone since he turned 16, but Alex does not yet.
Correct, because he is 14.
You know what? I know. I think that's, in my opinion, I think that's really good parenting, because I've seen kids as young as 7 or 8 have cell phones, and it's like, what could they possibly do? Who are they calling? Who are they texting? And so they're introduced to that so young. And I really, I know everybody's not going to agree with me, but I just think that being introduced to certain things so young just starts it off on that, that road to issues or problems. And I remember my daughter, she always wanted the nails. She always wanted the, because she saw all the girls to 11, 12 getting nails. And I held her off from a lot of things until she became like 15, 16 years old, because I'm like, you're eventually going to get there, but I'm not going to just introduce you so early to all of these things that's going to, preoccupy you or cause any kind of issues. I did my best. Right. So I really understand that type of parenting. And, when you get your chance, Alex, hey, you're going to be texting. You're going to be texting, but, just everybody has their turn, and their turn is going to come. And when your turn comes, then, hey, my kids are 5 years apart. So I kind of understand what's going on with Alex's waiting, but AJ's already there, because mine used to do that too. And I would always tell my daughter, but your brother's 5 years older than you, so you're just going to have to wait your turn. Exactly. It's going to come. Exactly. Amen. So y'all have any closing anything before we get out of here and let you young men go? We really appreciate that. Some of the viewers said they really appreciate you guys' honesty and openness, and so we really appreciate that. Any final thoughts?
Well, I just want to say thank you for having us here, and we were big help.
Awesome.
You got something to say? No, you got.
Talk to me, Alex. He's a quieter one. Go ahead.
Bye, y'all. Peace. And I'm mad at you.
It's okay.
So really quick, before we close out, tell us about Teens Talk Truth Radio, and how our viewers can, where they can find you guys to hear you guys when you go online.
Okay. All right. Well, Teens Talk Truth Radio Show is our show, and we discuss hot topics affecting teens in our society today. And it airs every other Saturday, right? Yeah. Right. My fault. Every Saturday on Studio W Buzz. Yeah, 12 o'clock p.m. Was that Eastern? Central. My fault.
Imagine not knowing about your own show.
Okay, wait. The Centrals, the Eastern, whatever the. It's confusing.
Little
The
brother
post,
loves to
because
throw
there's the
big
one with
brothers
the.
under the bus.
Yes.
He really does. I mean, that was a whole thing on our show for like a whole month or two.
It's a requisite to my existence.
No, he just liked getting on me because I'm better at math than I am with speaking.
He's trash at games.
Not and there it is again.
And there it is
You
again.
just know. Yeah, he just likes letting you know that he's the younger one.
And that's what it is. So where can we get to Studio W Buzz? Where do we get that? Is that on YouTube? Is that on a website? StreamYard?
It's a website. It's called StudioW Buzz. StudioWBuzz.com. And you can listen to the archive shows. You can listen to upcoming shows. I think we got our own tab on there, right?
StudioW.Buzz.
Oh my
No,
gosh.
what?
So
Okay. And you can also
W Buzz.
StudioWBuzz.com. And yes, the old website is Studio.Buzz. StudioW.Buzz. Alex, you're right. There are two different sites. One allows international and one does not. That's why there are two different sites for the international listeners.
Okay, awesome.
You can also catch them on Spotify and iTunes. They are there. And you can catch us when we are when they rather. I'm just there for support and to laugh at whatever my kids have to say.
Well, listen,
That's
they have
funny.
entertained us tonight.
yes, but we also use StreamYard, and they are on live every other Saturday because we want to give them a break since they're teenagers so that they can enjoy some of their weekends.
Awesome.
So every other Saturday is when they air, except right now they're on their Christmas break. But you can catch them starting January 7th with all new guests live at 12 o'clock p.m. We are on YouTube. They have a TikTok account as well as on Instagram and Facebook, even though they say it's for old people.
No, I didn't say that. I said people over 30.
They're gonna use this against you someday.
Yes, they will, and I will be there to correct them. I didn't say old people. I said people over 30. You're not old. You're just over 30.
He basically called all of you old.
No, I didn't.
I would never tolerate.
I called the
That's
people.
just me, though.
I called the people who are 29 and about to be 30.
So you're saying they're young?
Yes,
me personally,
they're young.
Okay, so what about the rest of them? They're
30's
old.
young too.
No,
me personally,
until you're dead.
See
you're
now,
young.
me personally, I would never let him talk to me like that.
And see, there's the
when you
roast
get
and
over 30,
borderline
it doesn't
bullying.
matter anymore, honey. We're not offended.
Exactly.
We're just making it through this thing called life. So listen, guys, they said they're at StudioWBuzz.com, 12 p.m. Central every other Saturday. TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. So go and like their TikToks and comment on their posts and follow them on their social media. Let's continue to support these young men. One commenter said, "Thank you for this because it helps my granddaughter." And it just gives a more insight to how us parents with children in high school can approach them and talk to them and then just help them get through this thing called life. So guys, listen, we have had a great time. I'll see you guys soon. And then you guys enjoy the rest of your Christmas break. I'm trying to make sure I don't miss any comments. Two amazing young men praying they go far in life. So, you guys, we thank you for being real. We thank you for your honesty and the laughs that we had. So we're going to close out. We're going to say goodbye to our viewers. Can y'all say goodbye?
Hey, goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for having us.
And I'll be back for my Persevere with Power Moment viewers. I'll be back here next Thursday, same time, 7 p.m. Central Standard. You guys have a great evening.